everyone, Lady Sapphire here. So today, to kind of wrap up my kinks thing, we're going to be discussing non-kink people. People who just don't have one, and that's fine. People have all sorts of things that they like, and it doesn't always fall into a kink. So I want to discuss that, how you can kind of explore things a little bit without it turning crazy on you, and how to expand your boundaries a little bit in a comfortable way for both people involved in the relationship, or all the people involved in the relationship, whatever your thing may be. But do you want to get that going today? And then I'm going to be moving on to the healthy stuff throughout next week. So, without further ado, so when we think of vanilla, I'm not talking about ice cream, just so we know. I'm talking about people who fall into the non-kink situations. So they tend to be people who don't really find much interest in the weirder things of life, and that's fine. They exist as much as the kinksters exist. And we shouldn't judge these people either. If you are a kinkster and you know someone who thinks you're a little bit weird, just kind of go, that's nice, and move on. You can't change a person. You can't make them like something. That's just who they are. Just like if you're a kinkster, that's who you are. So really quick on my tips, as always, for expanding your boundaries, because let's admit it, we can get into routines. Even people who don't have kinks, we get into routines, and that can get boring. So if you're used to the same thing all the time, every time, sometimes we start to lose interest, and that's what tends to lead people to straying, actually, is that they're losing interest in the situations with their partners. So really make sure that even if you're not a kinkster who likes something specific, you're not afraid to experiment. This can be with toys, this can be with all sorts of different things. And don't be afraid to try different things. Now, as always, there are warnings that you should be careful, that nobody's boundaries are being crossed. The consent box is always the most important thing for everybody involved. So please make sure that you're not pushing anybody's boundaries with anything. But if your partner comes to you and says they want to try something and it falls within the consent box and you know you're safe and comfortable with this partner, then why not give it a shot? Maybe you'll find something you like that you didn't know even was a thing. So don't be afraid to explore and expand, because life is long and full of craziness, and sexuality is one of the few ways as an adult that we get to express ourselves with the people that we love. So make sure that you are keeping that open and that communication is always a thing. I also want to mention that when it comes to communication, don't just cut someone off. Like, if you know that you're not interested in something and they bring it to you, don't just be like, I'll never do that. Because that'll shut them down. And then they might not come to you again when they have something else that they want to try, or when they're willing to do something for you. Maybe they'll be turned off of it because you've rejected them. So make sure you're always open, and that if you're really not interested in whatever they're offering, say, I'm sorry, that's just not for me. I am willing to do A, B, or C though, or I'm willing to try something else if you're willing and open to try. So that you always keep that communication open. You never want to just cut it off, because you'll be surprised how quickly a person will turn away from you completely. And again, if you're in a long-term relationship, that can lead to straying. I'm not going to say that anyone's to blame. If someone is so shallow that they cheat, that is their problem. But it can lead someone to feel like they're not wanted in their relationship if, when they bring something to you, you just, I have no interest, right from the get-go. It can turn them off. So keep that in mind. Always be open. I know this video is really quick. This one is just a really quick out there thing. I know there's not a lot of information I can really give about this. They're just people who haven't really explored or haven't really experienced. Or maybe they have fears of experiencing, which is where the communication is so important. If you're dealing with someone who's afraid of experimenting, then don't force them, but find comfortable ways to introduce them to things that you might like. The joy with someone who isn't a kinkster is that they're kind of a blank canvas. They kind of don't really know what they like yet. They might have certain things that they do like, but they might not fall into any specific categories. So you want to kind of be open to exploring with them, but in a comfortable way, because things can be scary. Like last week I mentioned the whole BDSM thing. That could be terrifying to someone who doesn't know anything about the lifestyle. So don't try to push something onto somebody that they have no experience in without comfortably introducing it in a soft way. You don't want to like push someone into something, because that could push them away too. Just like they could push you away by totally rejecting you, you could push them away by trying to force them into something. So you don't want to do either of those things. You want to make sure that the conversations are always soft, comfortable, and open. And if you're with someone who just has no interest, and if you are a kinkster with a vanilla person who has no interest in your kink, it might just not be the relationship for you. So don't make them feel bad because they're not what you need. You're both probably wonderful people who just have very different needs. So again, communication and conversations are the most important thing. And if you're starting into a new relationship, always keep things light but open and on the table. So you don't want to just blindside somebody one day with, well, I happen to really want this, but you've never mentioned it before, and they're shocked and startled and unsure what to do. So please make sure you're always keeping things open and comfortable. Everyone deserves a comfortable life, and sexuality should be fun. It shouldn't be something that we fear. It shouldn't be something that we stress out about. It should be something we enjoy. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you learned something. If you didn't, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And yeah, so have a good night, guys.